focused, 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 focused. Just stay focused, just stay focused.
Been waiting to get in this game, could barely keep up with the reasons. Been focused on eating and keeping my family together. You know, some I no longer reason. Still holding no grieving and striving to get to a place where they see that we overachieving. Holding no secrets, giving to all of my peeps in the gutter who struggle for decent. It's kind of like a good transition into the actual first chapter as well. Which is seeing the world for what it actually is.
Realist, being realist, yeah.
Right, realism. So you raised me, and then 10 years later, you got another baby that you're trying to raise the same way, thinking everything gonna be the same way, but he has different variables. He's growing up in a different time. So like methods that worked on me is not gonna work on him. So I guess and I think that kind of like ties into the fear thing as well. I think that's why this chapter came like directly after it.
Right.
Because people sometimes fear change, or they fear things that are not the same as they used to be. So they kind of stuck with a narrow-minded instead of seeing exactly what's going on in front of them. Like say, for instance, you got a best friend from high school, and 15 years down the line, y'all run into each other. And a lot of times, like your mind goes back to the high school days automatically. And you automatically think y'all still vibing on that level and this, but if you actually like took them out, you don't act like you didn't know them and relearned them, you will have a sharper eye and actually seeing what's really going on rather than what you want to be there.
Right, that's the realism. That's what, and a lot of people end up doing that even with relationships. They probably end up going back and say, you know what, I really liked her, or I really liked him in high school. So now you see each other again at 30 or 40 years old, and you're not being realistic.
Yeah.
About you seeing for them for who they are, and not who you saw them on. What do you say, rose-colored glasses? How you end up creating something.
I guess it kind of clouds your judgment and like make you ignore red flags, I guess I should say.
Right. Let me say 27, Richard Wright. This is life, new and strange. Strange because we fear it. New because we have kept our eyes turned from it. Men are men and life is life, and we must deal with them as they are. And if we want to change them, we must deal with them in the form in which they exist. Richard Wright. So chapter 1 is the hustler's eye, knowing what to see, how things are. You already talked about where Curtis Jackson came from. So more about, and I like how in chapter 1, because now it's going into talking more about how he moved from one stage to another stage in life. How was the drug dealer, right? And understanding the parts of being a drug dealer, and then understanding how to hustle, and and he had to end up, what do you say, from old head advice. Well, how do I do it? I got this whole thing highlighted.
It's like I remember that Curtis Jackson, he was the dealer at first, and then he became he went to jail and came out and became a bagger for somebody else.
Can you speak up a little bit?
Who say?
He became a bagger for somebody else after he was the actual dealer. So he was dealing on the streets first, hustling, went to jail, then became a bagger, but then realized that he was under someone else's control, and it starts making the transition to power, and so like what power has to do with everything.
Right.
So he found his why, and found his how, put it together, and learned how to get himself back out the game where he wants to be at.
How we all highlighted different things. I like that.
Yeah, I know one thing I highlighted as well was he has to see all the bullshit people throw at him, their games, their lousy ideas, He has to look at himself, see his own limitations and stupidity. All of this sharpens the eye to a razor edge, making him a keen observer of everything. So not only you gotta examine other people, you gotta examine yourself as well.
And
Um,
that goes to the point that I
like
was,
some people don't see.
huh?
Like a lot of times, I probably don't even see myself like or what's going on until I think about it after. You know, like and just think about it, like, okay, man, yeah, that was stupid. You know,
So we don't do that.
but at the time, like it clouds you up as well, you know, because if you stuck in your ways and you're gonna defend yourself no matter if you're wrong or not, then you have no like the world will pass you up, go pass you by real quick.
And
So
that's
it's like say for instance like say think of like a coach of a basketball team or a football team. So you have like these old school coaches. Like first off, to be a coach, like you have to know how to treat each person. Like certain people, you got to pull to the side, tell them how they messed up. Some people, you got to yell at them. Some you got to embarrass in front of the team. Some you got to embarrass in front of the media. You know, like especially when you're dealing with like a lot of different personalities and egos. So coming at everybody in this cookie cutter way won't be the same. So that's the reason you have to observe. And another thing with that, like there's a lot of old school coaches who are being fired or not doing as good anymore is because they're not adapting to the new players that's coming up. So if you've been coaching for 30 years, like that's 3 decades of different people coming up. Like they wasn't raised the same way as the people that was raised with you. So when you try to come with this hard nose and stuff and try to discipline them and like you're not gonna build your brand, like they like, man, I had my own brand since high school. I've been on Twitter, I've been on Instagram, like I got this brand already. Like, I don't need you. So you gotta come like with like a different way of that. So yeah, I think I guess a kind of way to put it, like kind of being a coach of your own world
I like that.
and knowing and actually seeing it for what it is and not just being stuck on
Which
it, stuck
goes
on what you think it is.
which goes to I don't know if had you look at the movie Biker Boys with Lawrence Fishburne, and he always began with the end in mind. You know what you're gonna do in the beginning, and you want to always make sure you focus on that part, and you really can see how constant and never ending improvement. So you analyzing yourself all the time, with constant and never ending improvement, and also finding which way you want to. And also, that's one of the 7 habits of highly effective people as well. Begin with the end in mind. And what you're going to do with that area too. Um, I like how he said in there about the ceiling. What happened? I know like he was talking about that the ceiling that happened with the low paying job. What do you need to do? Change your lifestyle. You're trying to do something else. You figure out how to move forward. He wanted to find he wanted to figure out because once he ended up talking about the board game, he wanted to figure out what his side is going to bring it to the music industry. And that's what we're going to talk about. Can you can you hear me now?
Yeah, like you be it kind of go up, down, up, down.
I guess I got to figure out how to change the video. This oh wait a minute, right there. This is same I don't know. We'll figure out again next time. If I see the mic stuff right there, okay, what I can do is to always keep my eye on the mic and see how the mic is moving up as well. I'm sure it's some type of equalizer in here.
Yeah, like we can you good now though.
Oh, you can? Yeah, because
Yeah.
I'm seeing the green go up. So I don't know what. So I'll keep my eye on that. So he said the music business was as harsh as the street. You was a pawn in their game. So he wanted to figure out like how I keep saying he didn't want to ban drugs anymore. He wanted to figure out how he could end up being a distributor. So the same thing on the music industry, what he needs to do to not be a pawn in the game or understanding the harshness of the truth. But I think every industry you go into, somebody's going to be the pawn, somebody's going to be the root, right? Root. Somebody's going to be different pawns. You know the queen, you know the king, you got the rook, you got so somebody's gonna be each part inside of the game. So you gotta figure out and learn how to make those moving parts move. What? Page 32. When things get tough, you grow tired of the grind. Oh, this is what you was talking about, I think, Joy. When things get tough and you grow tired of the grind, your mind tends to drift into fantasy. You wish things were a certain way, and slowly, subtle, you turn inward to your thoughts and desires. If things are going well, you become complacent, imagining that what you will have now continue forever. And you must stop paying attention before you know you'll be overwhelmed. So basically,
I
always
highlight that part too.
did you? All right. So what did you get for that when you end up highlighting them?
Basically, don't get comfortable. Like basically, long story short, don't get too high and don't get too low. So it's like if you go to work one day, I go to work one day and I be killing it or whatever. Like, ooh, I'm a beast. I'm the smartest person in the world. You know what I mean? Then the next day you messing up. You go, oh man, I'm so stupid. You know what I mean? Like, don't do none of that. Just stay in this little right here. Don't get too up or too down. Because if you get too up, you get too comfortable. If you get too down, you dwell in it.
Right.
So it's like
Do you
like
think that
if
happens
you
for
stay
right?
right here, if you stay right here, you can be comfortably humble. Well, I'm not comfortably humble. You could be what's the word for it? Confident. Like you're still confident, but you're still humble. So when you're up here, you're probably too confident, no humble. When you're down here, you're too humble, no confidence. So it's probably just like the middle of it. So when you're actually seeing it for what it is every single day, and just taking it one day at a time, basically. Because yeah, I can understand like if you think you're getting somewhere, if something has been working for 10 years and then the world started changing, I'm pretty sure once technology started, it's people that didn't flip with it. They didn't go with it. Like you got different stuff. Like even like this COVID situation, like it's probably not the new norm, but it's probably be a lot of new norms that come out of it. Like like like
Connection.
like, like after 9/11 happened, like you couldn't get dropped off and go through everywhere. Your family used to get to go right up there till you finna get on the plane, you know? And then and you could probably get to your flight in 30 minutes. And
Right.
it was quick with it. And now after 9/11, like just because of that event, there's like a new norm in going through the actual process of flying now. So there might be like just specific things you go see people. So you see people with a red bandana or a blue black bandana coming in the store no more. They not finna think you robbing them no more.
Look, the new norm is when people actually washing their hands.
Eight months ago, that was automatically like a, you know, like how quickly like the world changed on it. So even when I be like looking at like stuff that went on like in history, like if it means, if it shows this guy who's actually robbing somebody and somebody who's actually born in this COVID world and know that's what they're doing, they would think nothing of it. Like that was, if someone, they was doing this to cover up their face to actually do this.
Right.
So I guess it like depends on like the context as well. Like, I guess that's why they say believe none of what you see and half of what you see. I mean, none of what you hear and half of what you see, because half of what you see is probably blurred from somebody's vision or not in the right context, or they could find a way to flip certain things that are manipulate you in some type of way and have you thinking something even though that's not really what it is. But we actually living through it, so we can actually see it growing and coming up. So we actually have that advantage that like the next like 2-3 generations down the line won't have.
Right. Even with technology, I grew up with learning and using the new computer that you have to have on your desk, and when the phone becomes a computer in your hand, the phone becomes a computer in your hand. I grew up with technology where you all grew up on. I grew up with it. You grew up on it, and I grew up using it. Is that it?
Say it again.
I grew up with it. You grew up on it, and I grew up using it. technology, phone.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, I grew up with it. It was learning. You grew up on it, and
Yeah, because when I was in high school, man, I still had a beeper. We used to have beepers and stuff, you know what I mean?
right.
And then we played Nokia with the snake, and then like it just kind of took off. I say like in like '05, '06, sometime like that.
Like the idea of the iPhone is like of the smartphone is fairly new. Like when like the iPhone original one came out with 2010. So like
Yeah, but before that, it was like the Blackberries and
that was the coolest thing with the little
Nextels.
buttons.
Chirp, chirp. When you hang up on somebody, it was all dramatic.
Like, you got, like, how you can read a people right now? Even you can get angry and hang up. You're like, so he talks about some school here. I'm gonna move forward. We've been talking. I was like, I thought I put this here. I said, only a fool believes themselves to know everything. Why did I put that?
Yeah, it is people that think they believe they know everything. Though.
Right. I put it on page 39.
They say 39.
Yeah, I put it on page
I know
39.
I got something on 39. It was talking about like basically like if you act as you was a baby, like act like you don't know anything when someone is like telling you something, which is kind of hard in some places because sometimes I know I'm not gonna believe what they saying, right? Or something I gotta work on as well. But it's like if you try to see from your enemy side, like try to see exactly how they're seeing, even if you know you may be right, like just seeing how, just try to make sense of it.
Right. Because
Like it's a lot of people that feel this way, so obviously their ideology is like they believe something, and then if you understand them, then you're more likely to be able to come at them with the actual solution, or be able to actually talk to them in a way where they probably are more susceptible to listen. They probably won't listen anyway. Sometimes you gotta agree to disagree. Like it happens, you know. So it's like if you just look at like when you a baby, you're actually seeing the world for what it is. Like you're experiencing everything, you crawling around, knocking stuff over, being bad, and then like as you like grow up and actually develop your personality and actually go up, like you start changing a lot. I guess like even through like the adolescence phases, and you know like sometimes they're easily influenced still. Um, a lot of, but you're actually seeing it for what it is. Like by the time I say get grown, like you kind of like, okay, like I know what it is. I'm stuck in my ways now, or at least like to a certain extent. Where you like basically just shut out everything, which could like leave you in the past too. Like I was talking about, like companies that didn't want to go, right? Like companies that was working from home or have the option to work from home right now, they was good because they was prepared for it. They was proactive instead of reactive.
Right.
So now like you got like the other company who wasn't ready for it yet. It was like, oh man, like you struggling to try to catch up.
Right.
Because like people was probably telling them like, yeah, you might as well give them this, and they weren't on it.
So people, a lot of things with it, that you were forced to change instead of just go ahead and evolve into change.
Right.
Yeah. So you leave your mind open. And I'm the same way, and I can understand why a lot of companies don't like hiring older people, because older people, they're like, this is how we always do. No, this is a whole new era that we're in to learn certain things new. I like learning new. I like change. I like communicating, finding certain things out. That's why I'm gonna go. I'm gonna be on Snapchat. I'm gonna be on TikTok. I'm gonna speak. I'm gonna do all that stuff. I like social media and things that it does. I even bring that to the classroom when I'm dealing with my students. I give an assignment. Yes, we're gonna have discussion board posts. Like, no, why don't you go ahead and do a TikTok? What can you do in TikTok in up under a minute in order to convey your interest in a particular subject, or end up speaking with people? So I include social media into. I include social media into my class as well. Even when I grade my students, I don't just type in if I'm giving feedback to feedback. I do a video. Hi, how you all doing? This is what you could have done different. So I'm talking to them um, face to face on a video, whereas schools and professors who were not ready and did not use the video when they were working with their students, they still probably don't do it. They probably teaching their classes and don't even have their face open, turn their camera turned on, and just teaching the class. But I'm okay because one of the professors told me, "Oh, how do you record your welcome video?" I said, "I record my welcome video. I did it like 7 times." I'm like, if you were sitting in the classroom to introduce yourself, you're gonna do it 1 time. You're not gonna say rewind. I don't like that. Okay, rewind. No, go ahead and talk to the student. The student
Yeah, yeah. Act like you're doing it right. You don't get a do over in real life.
And that's what a lot of people, when we're dealing with innovation, they think they want to do that. Like, no, you can do it now.
Like I remember this one time I was at work and they was talking about like the IT stuff and like different way of doing stuff and don't always just take like old methods and then just use it, whatever. Like, of course, if you want to switch it up, you still got to learn the old one and know why that's used or whatever, because that's basically someone's baby. And you don't want to call nobody baby ugly, basically. So people that don't want to change, like you're basically calling their baby ugly, but you got to like let them know why they baby ugly, you know, like maybe that's not, maybe, probably not the best example, but so basically they was talking about it was somebody who was making a turkey on Thanksgiving. So then like you take the turkey, cut it in half, have this side on this side, this side on this side, and bake it. They was like, well, why you cut it in half like that? He was like, cuz that's the way my mama taught me. He's like, why your mama do it like that? That's the way my grandma taught me. Why your grandma do it? That's the way my great grandma taught me. So then come to find out, the only reason they used to cut the turkey in half is because the ovens weren't big enough to hold the big turkey back there by itself. So we now have ovens. We now have ovens to cook the whole turkey.
Right.
So you gotta let them know, like, we have a big enough oven without saying they can't cook or without calling that baby ugly. Cause I mean, sometimes you just gotta get it. Like if the whole world is not cutting their turkey in half and you still doing it for no reason, and got me hungry. But yeah, I guess it's just a way to like to see it for what it is and to know the why behind things are changing and not just going with the status quo just because like that's what it is, because the world will constantly change and like you have to get with it whether you like it or not.
Right.
Not saying you have to move exactly how everyone's moving, but you still have to keep up with the technology that makes people actually listen to you.
And I understand you can still have wisdom from previous technology. And you still, and I remember we were talking about when I was down there around Christmas, somebody cutting the grass.
Mm-hmm.
Around Christmas, and we were talking about how you all still have COBOL, right? So what happened when even like here with COVID, you had to know COBOL. But everybody who's teaching now, everybody who's writing code now knows only Java or any other type of programming language. But you need to go in and understand how to use COBOL in order to fix that program. So we were talking about what happens to the people who are no longer living, who knows how to do those programming language.
Right.
So you have that
will to know how to do things without using certain. Like I was watching like Walking Dead or something, and it was like this lady who had like a whole book of like how to start over and farm and doing this like we go to the grocery store, like we go to like if this ended right now, like in one of more grocery stores, like we'll have to learn how to farm again. You'll still have to learn how to go back. So still like know where you come from, but know where certain things come from, but still be I guess open-minded enough to see where it should change, how it should change, and what change should you actually go with, like in influencing you.
But even
you're not gonna do every chance. I'm not gonna be doing these little crazy little dances they be doing. They be doing
a lot of things, but even with, a lot of people are learning how to grow their food now. If they couldn't go anywhere, a lot of people were like, we're gonna grow our food. Okay, day. That's a lot.
Yeah. Like the term organic, that came out of nowhere. I didn't even know what organic was. Like now it's like, okay, they cloning stuff now. I'm like, I thought if I got some corn, it was supposed to be some regular corn. You know, like no, this the organic corn. I'm like, okay, all right.
Okay, I'm still ready to go. Right. What is it? Oh, I like this part. Page 40. Force yourself to go to events and places that beyond your usual circle. So don't just stay in your, and it goes back to what I always tell you all, you don't want to be the smartest person in your circle. Or if
Yeah.
you've never gone to an art museum, go to the art museum sometime. Never gone to an orchestra, go hear some symphony. Go to an orchestra, hear some opera. And I don't like opera. I went to opera.
Yeah, I think I'm good on the opera. Maybe when I get older, I'll probably go to an opera one day.
So you end up being around people. Where we at? Personal responsibility. I said no personal responsibility. It says this country goes in for the surface glossing and escape refuse surface. So looking at certain things, most people in this country always look at things on the surface level and don't dig deep on and find out the meaning behind different actions, why things happen. And even in my opinion, what I believe because everybody's doing certain things that's against the blue, against they're doing crazy things in my opinion. But I really do believe they need to have a sabbatical away from being a paid year off. I think that's a good idea. Paid year off, not doing anything in law enforcement for a year. So you could end up becoming sensitized again. Because I think a lot of things get desensitized. So to end up getting away from because PTSD is whatever. So I think even if you're in law enforcement, police officer, if you are 911, if you're a 911 caller, still can't hear me. 911 caller. So I think there needs to be some type of sabbatical away from the job. Even because teachers, you have as a professor, I had to come away and go teach for a while so I can empathize with my students, understand what they're going through, know certain things that's happening and things like that. So you know how to do that. So the root of the problem. You already said page 43. Look at people's deeds, not their words. So you're going to look at their deeds. A lot of stuff you already talked about.
Yeah, they kind of all go into each other. Certain stuff is just focused on more part.
Right.
Like I was talking about this, I think I said this too, something I highlighted. It says, think of your own biggest mistakes or those of others. How could they have been foreseen? Generally, there are signs that seem so obvious afterwards. Now imagine if those same signs that you are probably ignoring in the present.
Wow, that's deep right there.
Like, so basically, like they always say hindsight 2020.
Right.
Oh, you should have did this. Oh, it's easy to say nah, you know. So like,
but how do you have that same type of thought going through it now? If you know hindsight 2020, what are you? I guess it goes back to being a realist, right?
Yeah, like even like, and sometimes you probably could have just made the right move. It just didn't come out the right way. Like say for instance, okay, like LeBron James, right? It was like a game last year. He had like 46. You know the infamous J.R. Smith game? Like he did that or whatever. So at the end of the game, like LeBron, like I forgot who was on. I think Curry was on him, but it was like Draymond was right here and somebody else was right here. They was waiting on him to make a move or whatever. So then the dude Skip, he's on Shannon Sharp and Skip, they doing a little show. He was like, "You're LeBron James. You're supposed to take that shot." But he ended up passing it to an open dude who cut, and he just got fouled. And then he ended up missing the second free throw. So, but he was saying like he was looking at the results instead of like, was it actually the right move? Mm-hmm. But if LeBron would have just pulled up and missed the shot, they would have been like, man, you could have just passed it right him. He was right there under there. You know, like, so like you can't always let the results determine if it was the right thing to do or not. I guess it's just on a case by case instance. Like some people just look at the results and be like somebody like, man, come home, come home. I'm like, nah, man, it's traffic outside. I've been drinking a little bit. You get in trouble for not going, but then like if you go and something happen, now you like, oh, I should have just did this. You know, like it's just like certain situations that seem where it's like it seemed obvious after, but it is not so obvious at the time. So I guess like trying to see exactly what's obvious is the hard part to like know exactly which, I guess, what's obvious about it.
Right.
It's like a lot of time. I feel like I feel like a lot of like a lot of things when people have their 2 cents on something can also like in the back of their head they may know that they're wrong, but it's more of oh, I did say this initially. Like say if someone tells you, oh, I want you to do this, but then you do it and then something bad happens and they're like, oh, why didn't you do this? It's more of like because they don't want to be wrong in their words too.
Yeah.
Now they're like, oh, they just switch up.
Defend the wrong, especially if it's something that they doing. I think we was talking about that a little bit earlier. Like certain people, like they stuck in their ways, and instead of looking at the evidence that's in front of them, they just try to find new evidence to just prove their point at that time.
Right.
So if it's somebody actually doing it for themselves and it's something that they said, they probably go even harder because those are those words, and people don't want to be wrong.
So people not living the scientific method. If we all live the scientific methods, we would be okay. What's the scientific method? What's step one? What is the scientific method?
Hypothesis.
Hypothesis. Quadratic equations. I don't know.
Oh, you tested it? You tested? I keep about to look it up.
Let me see.
Oh yeah, that's like the problem hypothesis.
Yeah.
Data, conclusion, all that, the results.
Yeah, the scientific method, the question, hypothesis, experiment, and data, analyze and report.
So you have that after action review for everything you do. So if you did something, you do something, it'd be good to say, okay, this happened. This is what I could have done. This is what I can do. That's why I used to make you all do.
But sometimes you gotta like, I guess, look at why the data is the way it is as well. Like I said, like with LeBron, he could have took that shot, but he still made the right play because he had a wide open dude under the post. Like they say, the main reason you lost, it wasn't because you made that pass. It's because he didn't make them free throws. and JR wasn't looking at the clock once he got the rebound. But like I guess like knowing the root cause as well. I guess the actual analytical part of it and the results and the analytical part need to be kind of closely monitored together because the results don't automatically mean it was the right thing to do.
But how can that help people when most people are emotional? How can anything happen? How can people be sharpening their sword when most people are emotional instead of being analytical or being realist? Because that's what we're talking about here, from the reverse perspective. Or do you have anybody in it? Because I was thinking of because saying you being a realist. The word realist often comes as a negative connotation, but it's really conventional wisdom. So they're not saying you're being cynical, but you're saying things for what they really are instead of so you can be realist and be an innovator like Bill Gates. We have Paul Allen. We have all the other people. But if you are more an person who does imagination, can you still be innovative, or do they need to work together?
Well, like I feel like the imagination part, like someone that uses their imagination instead of like intense realism. I believe that's still realism. That's because you're following the scientific method. You're following the experimental part, but in your brain.
But would that be more innovation person instead of being imagination? Because you can be, would that be more? Because Steve Jobs, he was really an innovator. He tried to do things to find something to make certain things better. But he uses imagination to have innovation. I'm wondering. I'm
pretty sure like a lot of people are not gonna be 100% everything.
Right.
Because you can't completely take your emotion out of everything. Like certain stuff is you go get emotional on. I think if you can check yourself on it,
right,
thing. Like, am I doing? It's like this. Like, say for instance, 2 people in a room, right? One of them your best friend and somebody you don't like. If that person can say a joke, you go laugh. Person you don't like say that same exact joke, you go be, what you talking about? You know what I mean? Like that's the emotional invested part. Even though they said the same exact thing, same exact way, like that's your emotion getting in the way on if that joke was really funny. It probably really wasn't funny. You just laughed because it's them, or you know.
Right.
I guess like trying to like point that out. That's probably like the most challenging part, rather than how to react after it, because everybody go act different after it. Like once you see things for what they are. Like we 3 different people on this call right now, but we are handling it in 3 different ways that suits our personality, and I guess can smoothly get it there. I guess the best way of us doing the same job of what we need to do.
Right. I guess that's the end of chapter 2. We can end it off with what James Baldwin said. People who cling to their delusions find it difficult, if not impossible, to learn anything worth learning. A people under the necessity of creating themselves must examine everything and soak up learning the way the root of the tree soaks up water. So James Baldwin. I guess if you look at life like that, it wouldn't be so, like how you were saying with a baby, just soak up a sponge.
Yeah. So
the next chapter we're gonna do 1 chapter at a time, so it don't go this long next time.
Yeah, I say we do 1 at a time.
So we're gonna do chapter 2 next time. So chapter 2 is not gonna be this long.
How many pages is this?
So chapter 2 is from 49 to 68, so 20 pages.
Out of 68.
Yeah,
Okay, that ain't bad.
So anybody listening to
Pages.
we're doing chapter 2 for the next one, so you can join us. And chapter 2 is based on what? Making everything cool. Wait a minute, I don't even know. What word is that? I can't remember. Make everything, this word is a funny font. What is it?
Well, I'll make everything your own
Yours,
self-reliance.
alive.
Self-reliance.
Make everything your own self-reliance.
I guess this old English.
Font, right.
Yeah, that D look like a P.
Oh, what is this?
Or a backwards G.
Make everything your own self-reliance. So, chapter 2.
That's it. Oh, that's a Y.
He said that D. He said, "Oh, it's a Y."
I said that P look like a D or a backwards G. You know, like that's a Y though.
That's a Y, your. I was like, what word is this? Your, darn, your, I don't know.
For your own.
So we're doing
For your own troubles.
So anybody that wants, because you all can actually listen to it on YouTube. I'm sure someone on YouTube you can actually listen to somebody read chapter 2.
Yes, it's on YouTube.
It's on YouTube.
The audiobook.
So alrighty, so thank you all for joining us. I'm probably gonna actually cut this up in 2 parts as well. Chopping it. Alrighty, so thank you all for joining us. See y'all next time, and wonder how my hair is gonna look next time.
Focus. Just stay focused. Just stay focused.
Been patiently waiting to get in this game. Could barely keep up with the reasons. Been focused on eating and keeping my family together. You know.